After we create our project and specified what type of PLC we're going to use, our next step is hardware configuration. But why would we have to do this configuration? See, whenever we place the PLC modules on the rack next to each other and before we download the program on the CPU doesn't recognize any of the modules that we've placed next to it, and it can't communicate with them. This means that it can't exchange data with them. Now, what should we do in order for the CPU to recognize the modules that we've placed next to it? In order to do this, we need to do the exact same configuration we would in the electrical enclosure in the hardware configuration environment, and then download it on the CPU. In fact, we need to do the configuration once in a software environment and then once again in the actual environment. Okay, a property that Windows has in the Semantic Manager environment is that with one click on any parts on the left window, we can see its contents on the right window. For example, if we click on the name of the project, its contents are going to be displayed on the right-hand side window, which in here, the contents of our project is a station icon called PLC1 that we created ourselves in the previous lesson, and an MPI icon that has been created by default. If we open up the subgroup of our project and click on PLC1, its contents is displayed on the right-hand side window. In here, as you can see, our station has an icon inside called Hardware. This hardware icon is the environment that we can do our hardware configuration and download it to the CPU. In fact, this is one of Step 7 subprograms, which we talked about in the previous lessons. To open this subprogram, we double-click on it. Okay, this is the hardware configuration environment. As you can see, we have three main windows in here. The window on the right is the catalog. This window has all the modules that we need for configuration listed, and it's been grouped in different categories. The PLC that we've chosen for our project is an S7300 PLC. Therefore, we need to look for the necessary modules in the Semantic 300 subgroups. If we open Semantic 300 subgroup, we see the different S7300 modules, such as power supply, CPU, CP, and other necessary modules are listed here. To start the configuration in this environment, we first need to see what modules we have in our enclosure, and then based on those, we do the configuration in the software environment. Okay, suppose we have a 300 modular PLC in the enclosure that has a 2 amp power supply, a 315 2DP CPU, a 32 24-volt digital input module, a 16 24-volt digital output module, and an 8 12-bit analog input module. So this is what we have in the actual environment. Therefore, we need to place these exact modules next to each other in the hardware configuration environment and do the configuration. In the next lessons, we will learn how to do this step by step.